Hi Trevor, that Harley Davidson is nice of yours. I bet you're pretty happy with it. Thank you very much for everything you've done over the last few years, especially on People Under the Cross and 19cc. You're a fantastic patriot, a great family man, very much in love with your country, all round good guy, and a handy person as well. I'm glad to have you in my life. I'm glad to know you. It's been a hard gig, our job out there fighting political Islam, and then all this other shit comes along that we've got to keep an eye on and see how we can protect our country. You're a great influencer. People tell me all the time, I get about 30 messages a day, and they tell me that they read what we put up. They actually don't click like or share, because in their workplace they'd get the sack, but they've got all these code of conducts out there. Other people have told me it's their families have threatened them with giving up on them. They don't want to hear about any more political stuff from them. They don't want them to bang on about political Islam or anything to do with politics. They just want to have a nice life. But you're an influencer. You're getting your message across even when you don't feel you are. I've got a few notes here. I'm asking if I'm creating what's called a Futurist Forum to tell us what we should focus on. There's only going to be a limited number of people on this forum, and the idea of the Futurist Forum is to create a non-scattergun approach to be more effective. For example, one of the things that I've been told by our strategist and by politicians is halal is here to stay. The government likes it, and the businesses like it, and of course the Muslims like it. However, they tell me that the labelling, if we should be pushing the labelling of it, that it's illegal to sell any food, any product that's halal compliant, that's been paid for, the licensing fee for. So if anything's licensed, so that's one of the things I'd see from the Futurist Forum. We'd develop a strategy that would focus 100% on getting the labelling changed, and then, because if we don't have a plan, we plan to fail, and then we'll pass that on to other organisations, patriot organisations, for them to utilise as well. So the first thing the Futurist Forum will be doing is we're going to create a survey online, and I've been told that the politicians don't really care about surveys. However, they will care about any survey that talks about voting. So if we put it, for example, would you vote for a politician in your electorate who sells out Australia, sells our infrastructure, and sells our farms, sells our land to overseas? And because they just want, well, politicians' number one thing on their objective is look after themselves, and number two is to do anything to stay in government so they can look after themselves. So we will need to, I'd be hoping to push for 10,000 people to sign that, answer that survey online. But that just gives you a little bit of idea. I'm hoping that you'll join us. COVID-19, the vaccine. Well, we all know that during a pandemic we can be forced to be vaccinated. However, they can't grab you and just stick it in your arm or your bum or wherever, that probably you would go to prison or something like that. But that's not going to happen according to Morrison. However, my friends in government tell us that all government employees and contractors will have to have, and healthcare system, in the healthcare system, will have to be vaccinated for their jobs, right down to the secretary at reception and reception. Transport, definitely international and interstate travel, and they're even talking about buses that go interstate and the trains as well. It's a lot of people tell me they're not going to be vaccinated, yet then I get a lot of people that outside the social bubble and on my messenger tell me that they're going to get the vaccine as soon as possible, as they want to visit their grandchildren. Others enjoy going on cruises, and they go on 2 or 3 a year, so they want to get the vaccine as quick as possible. And there's just outside our social media bubble which we live in, the vaccine is quite well accepted. And Australia, one of the universities did a survey, and they reckon that 80% of Australians will put their hand up immediately. So that's probably the reason the government is saying it's not mandatory. Australia Day. Well, they fuck us over all the time. They want us to have New Year, Chinese New Year, but they don't want us to have Australia Day. It's just ridiculous. I've seen your post on that. You, Harry and Lee have gone to a lot of trouble. They even changed the anthem without telling us, without asking us. They told us, but they didn't tell us they were going to change it. The cabinet's dangerous in a lot of ways. Labor in the States, one of the things, you can't believe anything at the moment from the States, but one of the things is that I'm told that Trump is looking at creating his own party, which would give a third party, so there'd be Republican, the Democrats, and a third party which he creates, which would be quite interesting because it would really weaken the Republicans, and it would weaken Democrats. They're dividing the votes by 3. In Australia, we've got the problem with the two-party. Our job, yours and mine, and everyone else, is to fuck Labor over, get rid of them. We've got to destroy Labor before the next election, and we've got to, most people I talk to inside and outside the social media bubble don't know what Fabians are. They don't realise that Labor's job is to take us towards socialism at a slow pace in small steps. So we've got to understand the objectives of Labor, and we need to push that. And that will be part of a strategy we can develop through the Futurist Forum. Communist Party, it's the party, not the people. People, a lot of Chinese people, as you know, are very nice. My suggestion is we don't buy any food that is Chinese from the supermarkets. Naturally, you go to the Chinese for dinner and that and support them, but any food that's purchased from overseas at all, we should try not to buy. We should just grow our own or buy at the small supermarkets, not the big ones, or at the IGAs and that, purchase from them. But we don't buy anything that's Chinese food. Anything else, no need to argue about it. It's difficult to buy anything else like motorbike parts, car parts, medicine. Majority of medicine, over 80%, comes from China, and then some from Brazil, and most of it, the rest from India, and 95% of those ingredients of those medicines that come from India come from China anyway. So we can't stop taking our medication. And talking about medication, I was really sorry to hear that you're not well, and I do think about you often, not just when you post, but it's not fun getting older. So for you and your family, I'm hoping that you have a healthy year. We need to take it to the street more. This social media bubble's not helping. The t-shirts for Australia Day weren't designed to wear on Australia Day. They were designed to promote Australia Day and to keep it at the forefront of people's minds when we're out in the street there, because they'll be reading the paper. Not everyone, my neighbour here doesn't even have internet. A lot of people I know don't have internet. I was in Bunnings and I wore that female genital mutilation t-shirt, and I wore it twice. What I do with my t-shirts, I just put it on, like I put this on for the video, and I'll go and take it straight off, put my work ones on or whatever I'm doing for the day. So if I'm going to town, I'll put a comment one on. And this girl come up to me the second day when I come in, and she said, "What's female genital mutilation? Is it to do with jewellery, piercing and that?" And I said, "No, it's to explain what it was and about child brides." She didn't know what FGM was, didn't know that there was child brides in Australia, but one of the big things was they had sat around at the lunch table and not one of the ladies there at Bunnings knew what female genital mutilation was, and that's why she'd come and ask me. So it's out in the street. Halal, I find no one knows about halal. When I wear the shirt out, people ask you what's halal. We need to have electorate support hubs. You've really been doing that up there, having meetings and coffee and things like that. That's really good. Facebook, Instagram versus others. I've talked to important people and they suggest that you either have your own social media site, which can be dangerous anyway, but really that we should stick with Facebook and Instagram, because at least they are protecting against hate speech, and if you accidentally put something that could be hate speech, they'll censor it, which isn't a good thing, but it is in some ways, because you're not going to lose your house and your Harley Davidson and that, and defamation. Where on Paler and these other ones that people have been suggesting we go to, there's no protection there, but you can be still sued. So if you get the shits with someone and say something, well, they can sue you. Who wants to lose their Harley Davidson in their house and, put their families on the street? The other thing is, when Truth Votes first went down, they had 36,000 people and got wiped out because of hate speech. They asked me to go over to one of the other ones, but when I had a look, it was owned by the Russians. So the Russians had all the information, and then there was another one people wanted me to do, and that was Chinese. I don't think it's good to move to somewhere where it's not regulated, and now I understand that Apple and Google, they're not going to have the apps for any of these social media sites that don't monitor and censor hate speech and defamation. We need for our people in Parliament, Elsie and Ella, and Elizabeth Power. They ran for One Nation a long time ago. We need to highlight the minister's deficiencies to our electorate. We need to highlight policy deficiencies and party deficiencies. And again, the Futurist Forum will decide on selected ones to do. We need to encourage self-reliance and self-sufficiency. When I was still working we watched a video on YouTube and it was saying that you should always have $600 cash at home in your safe in case things go wrong, electricity goes down and shops can't open their doors, or even virtually, or in cash registers and things like that. All the banks can't get money out, and cash will be everything in that case. The other thing was that you have lawnmower petrol at home, you should always have a couple of drums of petrol for your car. There's only a certain amount of fuel in Australia. If that gets cut off, then you're stuffed unless you've got things like that. So the small things can help. The Great Reset, you know about the Great Reset. The government, except for Pauline, the politicians seem to be for it, think it's a good thing that you sell your home and your car and everything back to the government and rent, and that you'll be happy. Like I say, they can get fucked, but I need you really to monitor about the Great Reset and get a good understanding so that you can talk to people about it. Elena, she's put up something about global non-compliance, and it was things like we should be bartering and buying second-hand goods and not using the big supermarkets, things like that. It's on the Preppers page, and I'll put it up a few times so that people have a look at it. And I would have printed it out, but my printer wasn't working. I'm just hoping that your health gets better this year and that you have more time for your family, because it's very difficult getting jobs and business out there. The other thing I'm hoping is that you do enjoy life, that the Patriot organisation just doesn't take that away from you. And I would be very happy if you'll be on the Futurist Forum, and that will give us the things that we can focus on. And I'm thinking probably 4 or 5 things that we need to focus on, and that would be enough instead of trying to focus on everything. As I said, if we don't plan, we plan to fail. Look after yourself, especially that health-wise, and talk soon. Can't wait to see you again. Thanks, mate.